Peace. This is Waz for Waz Words Media. Back at y'all for another round. And fight fans, did y'all see that child abuse this past weekend when Canelo Alvarez took on the young boxing rising star Jaime Mungia? I mean, this fight was disgusting to me personally because of what Canelo said after the fight is what I knew would play out during the fight. What Canelo Alvarez said, which was very key, I don't know if it went over some people's heads or if they caught this, but Canelo Alvarez said, I knew this fight was going to go like this because he didn't have the experience. So if you knew that this fight would play out this easy because he didn't have the experience, then why step in the fight with a Jaime Mungia if you're supposed to be in your prime still? If you're supposed to be, as you claim, the face of boxing, or as many do, why? Why take on a Jaime Mungia if you knew his lack of experience would make for an easy fight? I mean, Jaime Mungia, he tried to come out first. He came out with the jab. The jab, historically, even, going back to the Triple G fights, the jab is historically Canelo's kryptonite. It's the one punch that Canelo just seemed to not get out the way of. And he couldn't get out the way of it this fight neither. The Jaime Mungia's, jab was stuck in Canelo's face, but he was doing a lot of technical errors with a guy like Canelo being a more experienced fighter, being a bigger size fighter. A guy like Canelo, you can't just stay toe-to-toe with him. You have to outbox him. And, I thought working with Freddie Roach, he would try to box more. But instead, he tried to go toe-to-toe and press the action. And, especially doing fundamental flaws like as the taller fighter, he was bringing his head down. Do not do that. As a taller fighter, you do not bring your head down. You're out of the firing range. And now you're bringing yourself down. And what he was trying to do was, one of those little tricks that you do in the gym where you bring your head down to a man's chest and you come with the overhand. Once your head hits the chest, you know that the overhand is in range. So he was trying to do that and Canelo saw it. So Canelo just caught him with the uppercut and sat him down. So there was stuff like that. Jaime just wasn't experienced and Canelo knew that. Jaime Mungia never went through the going up the chain in terms of having a step-up fight, like a fight against, let's say, a Edgar Berlanga, right? Because most of Jaime Mungia's fights, you could even bringing up the last one, like John Ryder, most of Jaime's fights, he's been the clear-cut favorite. He's never had a clear step-up fight where now it's 50-50, like a fight with Edgar Berlanga, for instance, that could have been a good step-up fight for both Jaime and Edgar Berlanga. Both of them, a step-up fight for both of them. So, he never had a step-up fight. He's always had, even in his last fight, Ryder, he was the favorite. But to go from a position of being the underdog to from being the favorite to going to being the clear-cut underdog without having a step-up fight, a fight where you're 50-50, he could have took on a Charlo or Demetrius Andrade, that, Andrade coming off a loss. So there was fights that he could have taken before the Canelo fight that would have prepared him more for this Canelo bout. But he didn't go that route. He ended up falling a victim to Canelo's trickery, which is just a way to try to avoid David Benavidez. So what he did was he gave people Mexican versus Mexican on Cinco de Mayo weekend, even though Canelo's Mr. I don't fight Mexicans, I represent Mexico. But all of a sudden, when it comes to avoiding David Benavidez, all of a sudden he, convenient amnesia, and now all of a sudden he fights Mexicans again. But anyway, yeah, so I wasn't a fan of this fight when it got signed. I wasn't a fan of the outcome because you just knew going into this fight, this was just a payday, And funny thing is, I love what the crowd did. The crowd booed Canelo Alvarez. They booed him. And this is the first time I ever seen a predominantly Mexican fan base boo their guy, Canelo Alvarez, for being an outright coward. When he was asked by Jim Gray, because you know Jim Gray, Canelo's not used to that. He's used to like people from the zone giving him the easy questions. Jim Gray will burn you. He'll scorch you. He'll put you on that hot seat quick. And he did it to Canelo. And he said, listen, you know who they want to see. You know who the world wants to see. They want to see the David Benavidez fight. And David Benavidez was in attendance. So he asked him that. And he said, what do you say about David Benavidez? And he said, oh, well, right now I just want to go to my family and, and then you heard, boo, boo. Dude started booing him. Then he was like, no, but, if the money's right, then, I'll fight him if the money's right. And money? Payday. You want payday. I know that. This dude brought up money. Money. The champion. He brought up money. He brought up money. He said the money's right. This dude want $500 million to fight David Benavidez. But I thought David Benavidez don't bring nothing to the table except 25 extra pounds. That's according to Canelo. But the same guy that don't bring nothing to the table, you want $500 million for that? Something don't add up. And what it don't add up to is the fact that you are scared out your mind, because that wall been closing in for y'all. Been telling y'all for years already. And that wall just keep getting smaller and smaller, just keep closing in. And he's going to be in a position where he just can't run anymore. Now it's starting to be even more evident when the crowd is booing him. The crowd that paid their money to see him and were just cheering him, they turned around and started booing him because he sounded like a coward. He sounded like he's scared of Benavidez. So what he's trying to do was wait for Benavidez to leave the weight class, and he's almost successful with it because now Benavidez went up to 175. But Benavidez said for the right man, listen, if I get Canelo, I go to 168. So not so fast, Canelo. Don't celebrate just yet because Benavidez is ready to come back down to 168 just to take on you. But man, nothing to see here. I knew this was gonna be like I ain't even hit y'all with like a fight week hype video or nothing. For what? This ain't the fight we want to see. We want to see Benavidez. Canelo Benavidez. Now he talking about some Edgar Berlanga in September. Come on, man. Another fighter that never had a step-up fight. So he going to be in that ring again, inexperienced. Just like he said in this fight. I knew I was going to perform this way because Jaime was inexperienced. That's what he's going for with the next one, with Berlanga. Because Berlanga is inexperienced, hasn't had a real step-up fight yet. So Berlanga and Mungia need to get together, make that fight happen, and make this coward finally be back to the wall where he has to fight Benavidez. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.